Hello there. The UK International Trade Secretary has unveiled plans to transform the UK into an exporting superpower post-Brexit. Liam Fox wants the UK to set its sights high and has plans to increase UK exports from 30% to 35% of our gross domestic product. According to Fox, there are 400,000 UK businesses that could export but do not, and to help them get into the export market, the government will sort out better finance and support, as well as get business to specify what stops them exporting in the first place. The BBC reports that UK exports are at a record high, surprisingly missing out the words "despite Brexit." Exports were boosted by a combination of strong global growth and the relative weakness of sterling, it said. It also said that many businesses report full order books, as British companies that do export, particularly outside the EU, find plenty of willing customers. The government now says it wants to build on that success, admitting that although Britain does punch above its weight in export markets, it also punches below its potential. Now, the UK Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt, having been forced to clarify his earlier remarks about a no-deal Brexit being a mistake we would regret for generations, is expected to say in a speech in Washington in the US Institute of Peace that one of the biggest threats to European unity would be a chaotic no-deal Brexit. Britain would, of course, find a way to prosper, and we have faced many greater challenges in our history. But the risk of a messy divorce, as opposed to the friendship we seek, would be a fissure in relations between European allies that would take a generation to heal. A geostrategic error for Europe at an extremely vulnerable time in our history. So, as I have been saying to European governments, now is the time for the European Commission to engage with an open mind with the fair and constructive proposals made by the Prime Minister. The trouble is, of course, that the deal they are trying to peddle to the EU is one that the EU can't and won't agree to, one that EU member state leaders don't seem keen to support, one that Brexiteers definitely don't like, one that has scant support in the UK except amongst those that see it as a springboard to EU re-entry, and one that even the majority of the Tory party's own members don't seem to like much either. So one assumes that his pleas are going to fall on deaf ears right across the continent, so to speak. Looks like a full withdrawal of the UK from the EU, a full fuck you, is becoming more of a reality with every day that passes. And to those hoping for a second referendum to force the UK back into the EU fold, I have a bit of bad news. Many Remain-minded people had been looking to Labour to change its tune and become a second referendum backer, if not go the whole hog and back Remain. But the Shadow Trade Secretary Barry Gardiner, who backed the Remain side in the 2016 referendum, has trashed calls for another EU referendum. Remainer frontbencher Barry Gardiner extinguished the hopes of Remainers wishing for a rerun of the Brexit vote, saying that a fresh vote would undermine democracy in the United Kingdom and spark civil disobedience, reports The Express. Talking to the BBC Radio 4 Today programme, Mr Gardiner said that a second referendum would just be telling people they voted the wrong way and here's a chance to put that right, which would undermine UK democracy. He also said there was more to this than simple economics. There is also the social, the democratic principles at play here, and that we have to respect people's vote in that referendum. We told them we would. We must do it. Of course, Mr Gardiner did come under instant fire from his less democratically minded Remain Labour colleagues like Chris Leslie and Ben Bradshaw, who are more intent on getting the right answer out of the electorate. Finally, I now have to bring you some Brexit doom and gloom. Having been told that the UK would go to hell in a handcart within weeks if we had the temerity to vote to leave the EU in the 2016 referendum, I have to report that actually it hasn't. The myth was doom and gloom, but the reality is somewhat different. Apart from the record exports already alluded to, the latest public sector finance figures from the Office for National Statistics show that not only is last financial year's borrowing the lowest for 11 years at £39.4 billion, but also that the current year-to-date borrowing of £12.8 billion is the lowest for 16 years. Also, public sector net borrowing was £2 billion in surplus in July this year, which is the largest July surplus for 18 years. But although the amount we borrow on a month-to-month or year-to-year basis is steadily decreasing, it still all gets added to the national debt, which now stands at £1.78 trillion. Now that's going to take a long time to pay off. But if Labour ever got their hands on the Treasury keys, I think you'd see a swift reversal in the movement of the annual deficit and a speedy racking up of the national debt. But what do you think? Please let us all know by leaving a comment below. Thank you for watching. Please do like and share this video, and also subscribe to my channel. And when subscribing, please do remember to press on the little bell next to the subscribe button. That way you'll get an alert every single time I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching.